Hey guys, welcome back to the UrbanCred podcast, where we bring you fascinating stories and experiences of people who make up travel, city, and just everyday life. Today we have a special repeated guest. We have Bill here, who is a seasoned traveler, digital nomad, and expert in the art of exploring new destinations. Bill has traversed the globe and has seen some incredible sights and has a lot of insights on how to travel smart, uncover hidden gems, and make the most of your experiences. In this episode, we'll dive into Bill's journey, how he is learning to maximize the usage of credit cards, the points, and to apply those to his travels. Here's some more tips and recommendations, as well as talk a little bit about uh, the unrealistic picture that some travel bloggers or some Instagram photos or social media portray travel to be like. So let's welcome Bill to the show. Welcome, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Ed. It's a good experience last time, and excited to keep talking travel and tips with you here, and hopefully help some people out.
Yeah. So there is a there's always a niche, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But this niche that we're gonna be talking about is we're gonna be moving away from bags and
hmm
travel for a bit, and then we're gonna talk about the credit card system, right?
hmm
Uh, for myself, I've jumped into the rabbit hole some time ago, and I
Yep.
built up a collection of credit cards that I felt that maximized my earning potential in terms
hmm
of points, cash to
hmm
points, and travel potential where it comes to points to tickets or benefits with travel. And some people may know, some people may not. But if you maximize your credit cards and how you're using them, you can really kind of get a lot of value per point when you
hmm
exchange them through these systems. And there are a lot of these kind of, I wouldn't say loopholes, but like these tips and tricks where if you really kind of dig in and research, you can kind of find out a lot of things that you could kind of change the game to make it fit your own
Yeah.
agenda. So
Yeah.
let's
Yes.
hear
Sweet
about.
spots, we'll call them, right? We'll call them sweet
Yeah,
spots.
right, exactly. And for myself, I use the Chase trifecta,
hmm
and I have a card in Amex and a card in the Capital One Venture Line.
hmm
That's kind of my setup. And what's your setup look like?
Yeah, it's a that's a common one that I see kind of the most, and I want to preface this by making sure the listeners understand that I am not a professional credit card blogger or anything like that. I am somebody that has dove in and did my research, and I use what I've learned to help me assist in traveling and whatnot, right, and make the most out of it. I think it's setting, as you said, setting realistic expectations that it's not easy.
Hmm.
Some of the bloggers make it seem super easy, and it's just not. It's a very time consuming, but if you're willing to put it in, you can get great value out of it, and it's also very hard. You can't just use it unless you're an actual YouTuber that does it for a living. You can't use it to perpetually travel. It's unless you're a small business owner that's spending a lot of money every month and getting multiple points per dollar or whatever. But yeah, so my system, just clarifying that so everybody knows that I'm not just here to hype beast credit card points, but you can absolutely use them to help you travel, whether you're an economy flyer or like me. I try to maximize for business class travel because once you've done it, it's very hard to go back. But I can't afford to do business class travel like on my
Right.
salary. So credit cards help me get there. But I originally, back in the day, I had like a Sapphire Preferred, just like everybody. And then I think I ended up I moved into a Amex Platinum and then just decided to, that's when this was a couple of years ago. And I kind of decided to jump into the Amex system that way. But I use a three card Amex system right now, or four card actually, sorry. Right now, I use a four card system. So in my day to day, I have a platinum, a gold, and a green. And the reason being, the way I use those is, as you said, I'm trying to maximize all the points I'm earning on the way I normally behave. So I think a belief of mine and a belief of the good bloggers out there are that people shouldn't manufacture spend. You should be using a system that works with what you're already spending on and not trying to spend more money. Like it's very easy with credit card perks to try to get you to spend more money, but that's the bad way to use the game. The good way is to, spend responsibly. And I put everything on credit cards, but only stuff I'm going to be spending anyway, right? So that's an important point. But the platinum, which it gets a lot of publicity and stuff, is it's a wonderful travel card, but it's almost a useless daily driver card. Like it should be a sock drawer card or just something you use for travel and maximize the benefits on it, right? Number one, the annual fee is outrageous on it, but if you utilize all the credits in your normal life, it doesn't matter. It's because you're going to pay that stuff anyway. If you're having to do new stuff to get that credits, then it's probably not your card. But I love it for the lounge access is incredible on it. And if you buy flights directly with airlines, you get 5x points on it. So that's pretty much all I use the platinum for is buying on flights and just having it to get into lounges when we're all over the world. Because sometimes I can't get into. I have a one world status through British
Hmm.
Airways, but sometimes you lose that status, right? You have to maintain that, or sometimes you're on a flight or in an airport that doesn't have a one world and you need a priority pass. So that's what I use. That's mostly what the platinum's for. The gold is has amazing categories of groceries and dining is 4 times points. So I use that grocery store and dining. Like you, I live in New York City. Those are probably my two biggest expenses.
Whoa.
And then you get a $10 Uber credit every month, so that helps with the annual fee. So I use Uber. I don't have a car, so I don't use it a lot, but I'm certainly using it more than $10 a month. So for me, that's money I would already spend. But mostly
Okay.
my food, dining, Amex Gold, because you just rack up points with 4x, especially if you like fancy bougie dinners like I do. My wife's in the luxury hospitality industry, so
Mhm.
we go to some fancy restaurants,
Right.
and when it's 4x at a few $100 a pop, it adds up quickly.
Absolutely.
But we don't do a lot of other expenses, so that's our thing. Like
Right.
we keep our expenses down elsewhere. But and then I have the green. The green it doesn't do that much for me, but it's
Uh-huh.
3x on transit, and I'm a subway guy, so I figure instead of getting 1 point every day for the dollar I spend on the subway, I'll get three. So it's 3x, and then it also works as a good like backup travel card. Some people like claim that the gold is a travel card. It's really not. The green is the travel card, and the platinum is the travel benefit card. But the green gets you like 3x hotels, 3x transit, all that stuff. So for transit stuff, I use that, and that's how every day I'm maximizing my points. And if I'm going to get a new card, I always get a new card. I don't upgrade a card because you get better sign up deals. I also use my Amex system to get referrals because my wife's starting to get into it. So as a couple, you need to utilize that because when I get a new card, she refers me and she gets the points for the referral. If she gets a new card, I refer her and I get the points for the referral. So you can actually double dip a little bit there too. So Amex is good for that as well. That's another reason that I like the Amex system. But wild card, I also have the Hilton Aspire card. So I'll give you a little wild card there. And I actually find hotel cards worth it. Um, and I found the Aspire to be better than the Marriott one. You can argue that the new Marriott top one is close. It's closing the gap, but the Hilton Aspire is just it's such a ridiculous earner. Um, it gives you diamond status, which is their top status. And for Hilton, diamond includes free breakfast uh, outside the U.S. Hilton did some weird thing where they're doing like credits inside the U.S. and depending on the hotel and how nice it is, the credits are either higher or lower. But it doesn't usually cover at the nicer places. It doesn't usually cover a full breakfast, but you still get the credits anyway. But we travel abroad so much, and sometimes we stay in nicer hotels. So like in Europe, a breakfast at a nice hotel could be 40, 50 euros per person. And if you're getting it for free, it's amazing. And some of these, especially you've been to some of the hotels in Asia, they're the Western hotels in Asia, their breakfast spreads are unbelievable. So it's really really good value there. But I like the top status because I get upgrade all the time. I
Mm.
see a lot of people complain about not getting upgraded. I don't know what it is, but I get upgraded all the time, and I like it. So we book the best room we can afford, and with Diamond, you're eligible for suite upgrades. So I've had junior suite in Rome, a full suite at the Waldorf Astoria in Rome for 3 days. They
Uh-huh.
gave me. I get upgraded at Hilton. I think people that travel at Hamptons and uh, Garden, Hilton Garden, and these types of places, they say the diamond's not worth anything, and it's really more because the hotel itself doesn't have a lot of perks. They already have free breakfast, but it's like that, fry up kind of breakfast. It's not like it's hard to get a healthy breakfast. Even their yogurts are like the store bought, like sugar filled ones. So, but if you stay at like Hilton's or like true Hilton's and above, I find that I get upgraded constantly. So it's even in America, which is rare for a lot of people, but abroad for sure, they treat you like kings abroad. It's amazing, and
Mm.
that free breakfast is worth its weight in gold. And then that card also gives you, we won't go through every single benefit, but it gives you a free night credit once a year, and there's no cap. So I could use, I'm not a Maldives kind of guy. I'm not like the sit on a beach aspirational travel person, but you could use it on a $1,300 a night room at the Conrad in the Maldives if you wanted. Um, and because of that, it makes it, you could get 3 times the value of the annual fee on the card. So just on that free night credit, right? Like if the annual fee is 450 or 495, I forget what it is, but like if you're using it to get a free night at an $800 a night hotel, then you've already doubled, you doubled the value there. So that's just on the that one night credit. So for me with that and the breakfast, it's amazing. But beyond that, it stacks your earnings. So like as a diamond member, you get 20x points on your stay at Hilton, right? So you get 10x base points and 10x for being a diamond. But that card, if you spend at Hilton, that card gives you 14x. So you end up getting
Whoa,
34x on your
that's
Hilton stays.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Now you gotta be willing to be okay with Hilton, but like there's some
Right.
lovely Hiltons all around the world, and
Yeah.
we talked a little about China before. I need to go to see my wife's family in China, and some of the Hiltons in China are amazing. They're all
Mm.
new, and they're really high end, and the Conrads over there are a lot cheaper, but they're still Conrads. So but you get 14x on the card. So I end up every time I stay at a Hilton, I use that card, and that's the only time I really use that card.
Hmm.
Um, Unless you want to, you get into like the Delta trick about using the airline incidental for Delta tickets or whatever. But like generally speaking, the only spend I put on that is Hilton,
Okay.
just to earn my Hilton points. So even if I'm redeeming 50,000 points, I'll still earn like 30,000 points, right? So
Right.
you net out somewhere where you're not using all the points that you have. But
Right.
I like to use points to supplement my hotel stays. I don't often have enough points to get a totally free stay. But as I earn,
Mhm.
I will earn them for work trips, and then try to use that for my personal trips, and throw in like 70 or 75,000 or 100,000 points. Like for instance, we're going to Milan in Italy, and 3 nights in Milan, no money. I used a free night credit and two free nights with points. So the whole stay in Milan is for free. So that type of stuff. Like I'm not doing like the giant redemption to Bora Bora and those
Right.
types of things that the bloggers love to talk about. Which for some people that's amazing. That's
Right.
aspirational travel and stuff. But I tend to stretch my miles out a little bit more just to get my strategy with hotels is to use the points to get a better hotel for the same
Mm.
price. So if I
Mm.
was going to spend 300 a night, right, or 200 a night, whatever your budget is, you're going to spend 150 a night, 200 a night on your hotel anyway. Go to a nicer hotel, but use the points to bring the cost down, so it was the same money you were already budgeting, right? Or if you don't want to budget anything, then just get the free nights if you have enough. But
Mhm.
that's what I'll do. I'll stay at a nicer Hilton or look for a Waldorf or a Conrad or something like that, and use the points to bring the cost down to a more normal hotel rate. Like I wouldn't travel and spend 2,000 for the trip on just to stay in a Conrad, but if I was going to spend 900 in a European city on a regular Hilton and I could get 900 for a Conrad, I'll do that.
So yeah, it sounds like it's so and I want to kind of go back to just the concept, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the concept like of this for the people who are unfamiliar with this is basically you sign up for a credit card, and this credit card should be the first credit card should be something that a credit card that would be focused on what you would spend
Mm-hmm.
most usually,
Mm-hmm.
and then that way you could build up points and maximize. And then for the parts of your life where it doesn't cover, you can then get supplementing cards that would cover those
Exactly.
parts of your life. So for Bill here, he has his what is it? It was the green, right, for the MX.
Yep, the green for the transit, the gold for the daily driver, and the platinum for the travel benefits. So that's my
Right.
Amex system. Yeah.
Right. And then he also, I know that you also have the venture, which is a 2 times points, which we'll go into a
Yep.
little later. But
Yep.
you can see here that he has a plan where groceries and food, is gold. He gets like the max amount of points for there, and then he goes to travel. He has the green, and he has the platinum, and then he also has the venture for the times 2, which covers like almost everything else.
Hmm.
Um, so that's kind of like a kind of system where Bill here, he is able to go out, do stuff every day, spend his stuff, spend his credit card and his cash and whatever on everyday things without having to go out of his way to spend to get points, right? Because
Exactly.
I believe like it's these points are supposed to be kind of like a bonus. They're not supposed to be like the goal where you're purposely spending to get those points. Because then what's the point,
Yeah, because then
right?
you're still spending more money than you would have spent. Like that's not the idea. The
Right.
idea is to spend what you would normally spend. Being fiscally responsible here, spending what you normally spend and getting something in return for it. Right. We all know that America has a wildly bad credit card problem and a debt problem. Right. And that's not the way you're supposed to do it. To do this smartly, you want to be using the system or finding the system that gets you the most points for what you already do. That's
Right.
the biggest thing. And then it's understanding what your output wants to be, right? What do you want to do? Do you want to, bang out a whole bunch of points to just blow them all in one amazing trip, once in a lifetime trip? Great. Do you want to use them for a little bit more like sustainable, not sustainable as in green, but sustainable as in more often you can sustain the pace of your travel by using points to supplement? And I'm more that latter group, but you also want to think about in your system who the transfer partners are if you want to use those transfer partners, right? So Capital One's okay for me to mix with Amex because some of the airlines that I want to use, they both transfer to, so I can pull those points together too. But that's it's definitely about a system to figure out how you can get the most out of what you already do and not spend more money. That's not the point.
Right. Uh, and the credit card system here, right? Uh, for for the viewers who are maybe interested or curious about what I personally use, I use, again, I mentioned the Chase trifecta, which is basically 3 cards in the Chase ecosystem, and I use the Sapphire Reserve, I use the Freedom Flex, and then
Hmm.
I also use the Business Inc. Just for my business. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for the people out there, Sapphire Reserve is 5 times. It's similar to the Amex version, just like
Hmm.
the counterpart on travels. And then there
You
is
have to
the
use the portal though, right, to get the 5x.
right, exactly, yeah.
The
So you
Amex,
have
the
to use
Amex
the
Platinum, you can go direct to the airlines, which is what I like. I never use
oh,
portals. For
interesting.
people out there, I never ever 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 touch a portal, never,
Okay,
because
okay,
the Amex portal is Expedia. I don't know if you knew that.
yeah. That's a little tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's good.
We can talk about that later on why I don't use
Yeah,
portals, but yeah,
yeah.
you can get the 5x for sure.
You're right. And then I use the flex, which gives you rotating
Hmm.
categories. So let's say quarter 1 for this year was Target and something else. Quarter 2 is going to be Lowe's and like something else. So it could be like movies. It could be like specific shops. It could be general
Yeah.
categories. So that's kind of 5 times back is pretty good. And then the the ink is basically like a flat 1.5 for business
Hmm.
or 1.5, 1. I don't remember, but
Yeah. And
um
business cards are great ways if you have business spend. They're great ways to rack up a lot of points because like
right.
typically a business spend is going to be higher. You might have to pay for advertising or you may have to pay for inventory or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? And so I unfortunately always wander is not really a full business at this point. I'm
Right.
not I'm not racking in big purchases, but like if
Right.
you do have a small business, man, you can really maximize points for travel that way.
Right. And some people may not know, like, some people may think, like, oh, business is business and personal is
Mm.
personal.
Hmm.
You can combine those points to kind of
Yeah.
use it for personal reasons. So it's not necessarily just separated that way. So you have that flexibility, which many people don't
Yeah,
know
my
about.
next card this year is going to be a business card. So I will be
Ooh.
for Always Wander, but it's going to be another Amex for the blue business preferred, which will get 2x
Okay.
on everything.
Very nice. Yeah, I mean, I always wonder still has expenses, I'm sure. So to
Exactly.
maximize
I have
those is going to be great.
website expenses, whatever. So
Yeah.
mostly it's for the sign up bonus and then to get the 2x because I don't have a 2x catch all for Amex, and that's what the business preferred would be.
Right. Uh, and then just to finalize, I have the gold card from Amex just for grocery stuff, which is great.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
we talked about it already. And then I applied for the wrong venture card, but we spoke about earlier where
Yep.
uh, we
You clear that
could,
up.
yeah, we could because the Capital One has multiple venture cards, so I got the wrong one. But this is a good segue into that conversation, which is the venture line. Each card has a sign up bonus of a certain amount of
Hmm.
points, where you spend a
Hmm.
certain amount within a certain time frame, and then they give you a bonus set of points. And there is a little bit of a system where you can kind of play around that to get a lot of points.
Hmm.
But in retrospect, uh, it was good because then I could get the venture card, get that points, close it like as Bill has mentioned to me earlier, a year later, and then get a referral, and then use that referral to get the second set of bonus for that other
Hmm.
card, and then close the venture card. And then that in itself has like three questions that I'm sure people will be curious about. But
Yeah,
let's go into why you use the Venture X for your last card, and then we'll go more
sure.
into other questions. Yeah.
Number one, as part of what you alluded to, there was sign-up bonuses, and so let's be honest, people that are trying to maximize points, you do chase sign-up bonuses a little bit, but you got to be careful, right? So, um, making sure again, like anything that you're doing it smartly. But I wanted the sign-up bonus. I think it was a 75K points sign-up bonus. Venture X also gives you 10K points every year just for having the anniversary. Gives you a $300 travel credit, which covers most of the annual fee. I'm a heavy traveler, so I would spend that anyway. So for me, that makes sense. Um, and then just the 2x earning on everything is great. So it's my current catch-all card. It fits into my system because I didn't have that 2x daily card. So what I typically do is all my online shopping, all my Amazon stuff, it's all Capital One because I don't have a 2x Amex yet. And then I also bring it with me when I travel because it's never good to travel only with an Amex because there's a lot of foreign countries that don't accept it. I mean, heck, there's a lot of Chinatown places in New York that don't accept it, a lot of Queens places that don't accept Amex, mom and pop stuff, right? So I always have the Venture X as my backup, especially when I go to other countries. But generally speaking, the card, if you value out all the credits and what it gives you, it's kind of paying you to have the card every year. I think it's almost like a negative $5 if you value the 10K anniversary points at 100 and the $300 travel credit. They're basically paying you $5 to keep the card every year. So it's a really nice card. It's a really nice card for people that don't want to think about, someone that doesn't want to have a spreadsheet about what they need to use and what their earnings need to be on these cards to make them make sense and use all the points. The Venture X is a great just card for the traveler because you get your priority pass and all that stuff. And 2x on everything is just you don't have to think about it. Not everybody wants to do that nickel and diming points game because they either don't have time or they're just not their style. I just kind of started nerding out on it because I realized it could help me travel a little bit nicer than I was.
And the venture card is a more of a recent card, which is kind of like
Hmm.
also the kind of the same level as the platinum and sapphire. Well, they're trying to market it to be some that like that, but we you mentioned like closing. Like we talked about, oh,
Hmm.
I'm gonna close my venture and then we're gonna open up. I'm gonna apply for a new venture X
Hmm.
down the line. And so there's a misconception. People think that closing cards is bad for credit, right?
Hmm.
What is the truth behind that?
Yeah. So again, caveating that I'm not the end all be all authority and all this stuff, but what I have learned about those things and reading it up in this niche and watching certain YouTubers and honestly the Reddit credit card forums are amazing for this stuff, the award travel stuff and Amex. But the only way it can hurt is more about how much debt you're carrying across all your cards. The act of closing it doesn't hurt. If you close a card in good standing, it stays on your credit card report for I think 10 years is the time frame, and it stays on there as good because you closed it in good standing. Where it can hurt you from a credit perspective is more about the main factor in your credit score, which is called utilization, right? And I don't know, Ed, you might know about that. For people that don't know what credit card utilization is, what it means is how much of your available credit are you using? So if you have $30,000 credit total across 5 cards, it doesn't matter where that money is placed, but if you have $30,000 total credit available to you and you're using 25,000 on those cards, you're gonna it's gonna hurt your credit score because your utilization is much much too high. You're too close to your high end, and so where closing a card can affect your credit score is if you have, let's say 100, just for easy math. You have $100 you can spend in credit, and you've got $20 that you've used. So that's a 20% utilization, right? If you close a card that had $30 available, that now your total credit now goes down to 70, not 100, right? So even without changing anything about this $20, you're using more of your available credit, a higher percentage. So that's where it can hurt you. But it's not like the act of closing a card doesn't hurt you. If your credit is in good standing across all your cards and you close an old card, it's not really going to hurt you if you close it in good standing and you're not utilizing all your credit, which the number one thing that people in this world will tell you is never carry a balance. So if you're not carrying a balance in your cards, then this shouldn't be an issue anyway, right? Or if you're carrying a very low balance, it shouldn't be an issue. Closing cards and opening new ones will be an issue for people that are maxing out all their cards and stuff like that.
Right.
But that's not a best practice anyway. So that's the
Yeah.
that's the caveat to that information. A lot of people think that just closing a card is bad,
Right.
but for your scenario, the other reason it could be bad is if you sign up for a card and get a sign up bonus, let's say 50,000 points for meeting your spend, and you cancel that card in less than a year, that company most likely, whether it's Capital One or Amex, they will claw back those points because you broke your deal. You basically you're locked in for a year. If you stay in for a year and then that annual fee hits you the next year, then you can cancel that card if you want. Or if you want to just keep your credit line open, and there's no fee on the card, right? You can just keep it open because hey, there's another 15,000 on your total available credit, even if you don't use it, right? If there's no fee, you can just throw it in your drawer if you want. It's more about like you want to cancel cards that have a fee that you're not going to use.
Right. And I think that what we just said actually goes into also the reason why people don't, I'm assuming the reason why people don't tell you not to cancel your oldest card is because that's probably the card that gives you the most credit line, right? The highest credit line to
Usually, because
spend,
over
right?
time it'll increase. Exactly. So you
Right.
want to make sure that you could have an old card. Maybe it was an old like starter card, right? And it only
Yeah.
has 5K credit on it. Then you can whatever close it. It's not going to hurt you. But
Right.
yeah, if you have one that you've had for since you're 18 and they've bumped you up to like $30,000 credit, unless there's a fee that you just can't deal with, I would probably leave that open because 30K is a good
Right.
chunk of credit.
Right. But even like there's like other ways. Like even if there you have like I don't know how, but like hypothetically, you get a platinum card as your first card when you're
Hmm.
18, and then you're like, 30, and you don't really want to pay for that platinum. There's an option to downgrade to other cards as well, to
Oftentimes, yeah,
right.
often
So,
systems. Chase has a better path usually to downgrade.
mhm.
Amex, because those three cards, the green, gold, and platinum, are charge cards. They're not
Right.
they're not
Uh
credit
oh.
cards.
Right.
That's another thing. Yeah, so I don't know much about the technicalities there, but
Right.
the path to downgrade in Amex, you can't downgrade to one of their everyday. You can only downgrade down to the green. So at most you could downgrade to the green, but you can downgrade. You can certainly downgrade if you want to get your fee down and whatnot. But all three of those cards are definitely going to still have fees. You won't be able to get out of it. You'd have to cancel that completely, but then you got to be careful because you might lose your Amex points if you do that.
Right. Great. Yeah. So those are kind of like that, but how and that kind of goes into our. They're cooking. They're cooking. I just gotta wait for them to pass. Uh,
The New York
can you,
sounds.
can you hear it?
No.
Oh, you can't hear. Oh, I can keep talking. So basically, then that kind of leads into annual fees. We're talking about annual fees.
Hmm.
Um, credit cards have annual fees because they give you a lot of benefits. Depending
Yeah.
on which level and what kind of card.
Hmm.
For Amex, the Platinum, and then for Chase, it's the Sapphire Reserve, and then they're both
Hmm.
premium cards, and they have an annual fee of like $600+.
Hmm.
So for people who are not unfamiliar with that, that seems like a big investment every year. That's like a lot of money.
Hmm.
Why would you pay that? But it's not just about that annual fee and that metal card. It does look nice, but it's
Yeah.
more than that, right? It's about like the benefits that you get. And I know because I use Chase Reserve for a long time. Chase Reserve
Hmm.
gives you $300,
Hmm.
travel credit. So that already
Super
cuts
easy to
down.
use too. Like it's
Yeah,
super easy to use.
exactly. It's probably one of the easiest in the
Hmm.
credit card systems,
Hmm.
and it gets a bunch of like you get Lyft 6 times back, and then you get what is it, DoorDash and things like that. So
Yep,
it kind of brings the cost of the annual fee down technically, and then
exactly.
you can
As long
probably
as it's not, as long as that's not new money for you, right? As long as you're going to
right.
spend it on that travel anyway, then you can net it out, right? You can zero it out.
Right. And then that's the key, right? The point is that
Yeah.
you should always get the card that makes sense for you. If you are like
Yes.
as Bill mentioned, he what he means is like if you're getting this card and you're purposely spending more money to get that fee to be lower, then it's not worth it.
Mhm.
You should be it should fit within your kind of lifestyle and like how you live, right? If like because for me, DoorDash, I DoorDash once well DoorDash I would get 5 a month and then you can accumulate up to 3 months, so it's
Mhm.
easy for me to kind of spend that three hundred
Yep.
dollar travel credit, really easy. I
Super.
could take the subway, it covers it. And
Hmm.
then and I want to kind of go into like the benefits of platinum. I do know that it gives like the $50 Saks Fifth Avenue and
Hmm.
like a bunch of like other things that you can kind of like, elaborate on. But
Hmm.
and then I want to hear if like how much of that do you use and how do you kind
Yeah.
of value like even the Centurions lounges and things like that.
Hmm. Yeah. So one of the interesting points about the platinum is it's super highly, I don't know, people that aren't in like going into like Reddit forums and reading about this stuff, they probably won't know this.
Right.
But it's super hotly contested. Like it's almost black and white. There is a whole group of people that absolutely despise it, and
Hmm.
they call it a coupon book. They're just like,
Yeah.
f that coupon book. I don't want to deal with that stuff.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Nobody can use all that stuff. But that's not true. It's geared mainly. It's geared towards urbanites and kind of what younger professionals or middle-aged professionals that are high earners and can utilize that stuff. It may not be the right person for a non-urban suburb or something that drives a lot, right? Like you got to think about this stuff.
Yeah.
But the fee the other side of it says, well, I use all this stuff all the time, so it's not a coupon book.
Right.
It's discounting things I already do, like and yeah. So from the credit standpoint, I think I use, because also people also get crazy and they're like, well, this Uber credit, I don't value it $1 to $1. I only value it's $100, but I only value it $60. And I'm like,
Right.
what? That doesn't make, for me, it's just straight cash. If I'm hopping in an
Yeah.
Uber and it's
Yeah.
$60, I value that at $60, right? So
Right.
so for me, Uber is certainly that credit is super easy for me to use, no problem.
Right. Right.
Um, the other one is they have a digital entertainment one,
Oh yeah, that one's.
which I use for Hulu, so I don't
Hmm.
pay for Hulu.
Hmm.
Well, I get technically I pay for it, but it gets netted out, right? So
Right.
the card credits me back for Hulu, and then there's a kind of a hack with that is you can get HBO Max through Hulu. So
Oh.
I've canceled my HBO Max subscription and I've now added into the Hulu one. So
Oh.
my platinum will just get billed as Hulu, so it just credits back.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I use that. That'll cover that 240. Should cover most of the year for me.
Yeah.
So that's good. The FHR credit, Amex's FHR program, the Fine Hotels and Resorts.
Hmm.
It's an amazing program, but it's also high end. It's expensive, so
Right.
I'm not spending a week at those places.
Yeah.
But what I like to do when I travel is our last night in a place, right before we have to go to the airport or something. I often will pick a nice hotel to stay at just for the one night. And Amex's FHR program is amazing for that because they're luxury hotels. They're like Ritz's and Waldorfs and uh, all Roccoforte hotels, those types of places, right? And in Europe and Asia. And for your last night, it's great. So with the FHR program, for people that don't know, it's Amex's exclusive program with these places that gets you free breakfast. And at those places, they're off breakfast is $50 a person, right? So you get free breakfast for two. You typically get upgraded. You usually get $100 of experience credit, which could be at the spa or it could be at the restaurant, whatever, or at the bar if you like to drink, all that stuff. So that's super, super value. And every year they give you $200 credit for that program. So once a year, I like for these trips, like we're going to Italy. I found a little villa in Florence that's part of the program. It's not cheap, but it's one night, and we got $200 off. So kind of it makes it worthwhile for me. So because I'm going to be staying at places anyway, like I use that to get a nicer experience, right? The airline credit I use for sure, either on Delta tickets, which is a workaround, or in like guest passes for the Delta Lounge. My wife doesn't have status, and so if we use a Delta Lounge, we have to pay, but that credit gets used, um, charged back through the program. So that's part of where I would use that. I don't use things like the Equinox credit. I can't be bothered with that. Um, Walmart Plus, I haven't used it, but
Yeah.
I may start because Paramount Plus comes with it. So that's another
Oh, okay.
another streaming
Whoa,
service.
that's such a good deal. Oh my God.
Yeah, but it's their basic. So I think there's still occasional ads, but still
Okay. Still,
you
yeah.
get Walmart Plus, which shipping wise is as good as Amazon now.
Yeah.
So if you could just use that, but like if you're using even if you don't use Walmart Plus, you could just use it to get the $5 a month basic Paramount, right, for free.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm going to start doing that, and that means I'll
Yeah.
start utilizing that credit even more. So
Right.
I'm probably using, I don't know, 800 to $1,000 worth of the credit, and so at a
Which,
690
yeah. Which, like, I
for
would say,
platinum, which
like,
at 695,
yeah.
I'm getting outsized value, I think, from that credit. Where
Right.
some people are like, I can't use Uber, I can't use this, I don't do Walmart, I don't do digital stuff, and they argue sometimes online, and I don't think people should really be arguing about it. I think it's more like you're accurately assessing
Yeah.
your situation, and I agree with you. This card is not right for you, right?
Right.
But there's so much marketing about it, and there's so many influencers that talk about it that people get this feeling that they're like talking to them all the time, right? Like,
Right. Right.
well, everybody says I should be. Why should I get this? Well, maybe you shouldn't, right? You need to
Yeah.
take like a really good personal responsibility
Right.
evaluation. And there's actually a great credit card. I don't know if he's an influencer, blogger, YouTuber, whatever. Sebi. I don't know if you know. Ask
Oh, I
Sebi.
love Sebi. Great.
Sebi's
Ask
great.
Sebi, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got a calculator on his website, so you can go to
Uh-huh.
the platinum card, and it basically plug in all it has all those benefits, and you can literally label how much you think you value it at. And for
Hmm.
me, like I said, most of it is either face value or zero, right? So
Right.
you can just put it in. But the people that like to be like, well, it's $60 here or $40 or whatever, you can put it all in there. And if it doesn't add up, then and
Don't
it
get
doesn't get
it.
it to a point, yeah, where you don't think you're gonna want to pay that fee, then maybe it isn't right for you. And there's
Right.
that's why there's also a cashback world in credit cards, right? There are a lot of
Right.
people that are diehard cashback people, but for the type of redemptions I want to do, which are typically international hotels and international premium flights, cashback won't do it for me. Because even if I earn $1,000 cashback in a year, which is a lot of money, you can't even get half of a business class ticket for $1,000, right?
Right.
So that's not my chosen path. But for people that value cashback or value domestic travel, that's a good cashback. It can be a good system for them.
Right. And then, like, so then this, uh, wow, that's a lot of information.
It's a lot.
This,
This is the other
yeah.
thing is people also, I want to make sure people know, like, I didn't just read 3 blogs in a week and then decide I understand all this stuff. Like I've been reading about this stuff daily for a year.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. And you don't want to get tricked by the hype beast people that it's all easy, that their
Right.
point redemptions, they're not lying. You can go to Japan for 88,000 points round trip from New York. You can.
Right.
Is it easy to get that? No. It's hard. It's really hard, which is why I like people like Ask Sebi. He's very
Right.
realistic and good. He's working more in facts than he is in hype. And also there's another guy, Mark Reese. I don't know if you know Mark Reese. He's a credit card guy. He's a little goofy in an endearing way, but he's great for information, and he's not a shill. You see people online use that word a lot, and they're always like, "Oh, these bloggers are shillers." They're telling people they can do all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, but if you find the ones that are just strictly giving you information, it's your job to do what you want with that information. But too many people, they definitely fall into that trap where they think that it's everybody and their sister can get a 50,000 point redemption first class from New York to somewhere in Asia. Like it's easy. Like you just sign up on a Tuesday and they'll be like, "Hey, I'm trying
Right.
to go next month on this date and whatever. Can somebody help me?" And it's no, that's not
Right.
really how it works.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to look like a year out, and you need to be able to go anytime between September and November. You can't be like, "I have a wedding to go to. I can't use my points for it. It's
Yeah.
annoying. The system's a scam." That's not
Yeah.
really. If it was easy, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't let you
Yeah.
do it if it was easy.
Right. And it's like, and going back just quickly to the platinum card, like,
Yeah.
going through the benefits and stuff like that, you can actually tell that who they're kind of marketing to, right? Just like the
Yeah, for sure.
Equinox credit, like the Walmart, the the
The
entertainment
streaming credits,
stream,
yeah,
right? And like all you can tell kind of like that's who they're kind of they're definitely like you said going for that professional,
yeah,
maybe like working in New York City, they've got like a tech job, and then they got like they're already spending super exorbitant amount of money on
yep,
these kind of things, and these just
yep.
kind of like supplement that. um
Yeah,
and then
New York and San Francisco are very big markets for the platinum, and I think traditionally the what I've seen in published data is that the average user is like for platinum is up until recently was like 50s, very 200 plus or K a year, which can be different in different cities. And in most
right,
cities, that's a lot of money, right? And
yeah,
um, but with the last since the pandemic, I think because of all the marketing and the
yeah,
influencers, they've gotten a lot of younger people into it, but
right,
they're still not. They're the biggest chunk of new users, I think, but I don't
right,
think they're the biggest chunk of actual of the whole pie. As much as
right.
people online like to moan about it, some of the older folks like to be like all these Gen Z influencers are ruining the
These
lounges, and it's
youngins
like,
get
well,
entering
yeah,
our
get off my lawn.
yeah, exactly.
In this case, the Centurion Lounge is their lawn, right? But
Yeah,
and I get it because there's a lot of overcrowding issues, but
right.
travel's is still in a weird spot now. But that's a probably a separate side conversation. That's kind of a salty point in the credit card
Right.
industry niche is that people get really angry about
Yeah.
the lounges. But I will say personally, I've traveled all up and down the East Coast. Traveled to Europe multiple times. I've never had an issue with a lounge, and sometimes they're crowded, but I've never had a line.
Right.
It depends on what days you're going, what time you're going, whether it's the holiday season, right? You never know. Sometimes when
And
someone just says, "Oh my God, there's a line again, I can't get in." There's also
mm,
usually not much more context about like what's the scenario, what times are you trying to go out, which
right.
flights are leaving.
Going on
That
Christmas,
matters.
looking for yeah,
Yeah,
just
I'm trying to go home for Christmas. I can't get in the lounge. Well, you and
yeah,
everybody else is trying to go home for
right,
Christmas.
exactly. And I think there's actually like the hype piece and like the
Yeah,
advertising,
that's the
and
problem.
I think there's like a because of that there is a bit of a kind of people's younger people seeing the platinum as kind of a status symbol, like a
Yeah, lifestyle card. Yeah,
yeah, like I pay some $100 for this, and like, I'm traveling like
yeah,
whatever 5 times a year, and check out this card, and then they
yeah,
use it for paying for everything, not really maximizing the points to dollar value,
yeah.
right? Do you think that's kind of like also a reason why?
Yeah, I think a lot of that have they've tried to obviously expand their market and based on financial results, I think they've done a great job of it doing that. But I think people fall into the marketing too, and not necessarily whether that it's the right card for them or not. And for younger people, and I speak from experience, like it's easy to start putting money on credit cards, and I think people need to understand that an Amex card, like a platinum or a gold, are not credit cards; they're charge cards. And if you don't have the right setting in place, if you're not using like a pay over time setting or something like that, like, and you don't pay off the card in full every month, you'll get crushed on your interest fees. And so if people are carrying balances on there, they're just killing themselves doing that. But like,
Ooh,
yeah,
I gotta
it's
let me log into my Amex and then pay that off right now.
yeah, get there quick,
Yeah.
man. It's
Oh my
That's
god.
not smart money. It's not smart money. Sebi will yell at you if you do that.
Oh my god. Sensei, no.
Sebi actually followed me on always my Instagram always wander recently, and I
Oh
was like,
wow,
yes.
awesome. That's
Yeah, I
that's
followed
like
him first. To be fair, he must have noticed and then felt it was relevant to because he's a traveler a bit
right.
too. So I was like, all right, man,
Oh,
I made it.
that's
Sebi's
cool.
following
Yeah.
me.
Everyone's like, oh, these fucking travel nerds talking about who's
Yeah,
Sebi.
we're nerding out, but like, yeah, who's Sebi? But we're so people, as long as people know that I have a day job, that I my travel stuff is spending my personal money. I'm not
Yeah.
some
You guys
influencer
shut up.
flying
You
around the world.
listeners, you don't know what
Yeah,
you're talking about. Oh, no, just kidding.
on
Uh,
other people's dimes. I work for
right.
it.
But let me see. Yeah, like
But I do think the
I
Platinum's a great card. If you're going to
yeah.
utilize the lounges in airports, it's one of those things. And again, back in the day, I was the same. I ended up getting status on British Airways when I was living in London and flying a lot. And I never had lounge access before that. So that was 36 years old before
Uh-huh.
I'd ever had lounge access. And
Uh-huh.
I remember being like, whatever, people think they're cool because they're in a lounge. Beat
Right.
it, nerd. And then I started getting into the lounges and I was like, oh my God, this is so much better.
This is the
It's
best.
just, yeah, it's just, I mean, yeah, you could, yeah, there's free booze. I'm not a boozer when I fly. I don't like being in a metal tube 30,000 feet in the air being drunk.
Hungover.
That's not my thing. Um, but people love that it's in there. There is free booze in there, but it's free
Yeah.
food. You can get like a snack, and it's airport food is expensive, so you save
Yeah.
money on that, and
Yeah.
also just not having to be at the stress of the gate the whole time,
Hmm.
it's a game changer. It's just more relaxing. You can get to the airport 2 hours before and not
Hmm.
be stressed out. It's a game changer. And so once you have it, like, and you travel a lot, you need to utilize it. But
Yeah.
if you're that once a year traveler or twice a year traveler that just goes to the beach every year with their family, which is a big American style of summer vacation, like,
Wow.
I'm not going to say that those types of cars, even the preferred, the Sapphire Reserve or whatever, that might not be the right card for you either. If you're only
Right.
taking a car trip to the beach with your family every year, it's probably
Yeah.
not the card for you. That's because people say it's a travel card. You might want to look at an everyday 2X card or something, or a everyday cash back. It's people always
Yeah.
say, "Is this card right for me?" You see that posted in Reddit all the time, and it's like,
Yeah.
no one, man, no one can answer that for you. We can give you some tips,
Yeah.
but you
You
need
gotta look it up
to
yourself.
decide
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's just people get. You want to say, well, people aren't really that susceptible to advertising, but of course they are. I mean, look at Mad
Yeah.
Men. That the reason that industry existed is because people are susceptible to advertising. Like, not everybody,
Right.
but and so you see all these people that they kind of like, oh my, should I get the platinum? It's supposed to be this great travel card. That's I don't know, like you break down,
Yeah.
talk, look at what it gets for you, and do you use it? Do you travel twice a year and that's it? Like, no, don't get it.
Right. Yeah. I think like it's I've fallen to that kind of rabbit hole too, where I
Mm,
was, I had the trifecta, and then I was contemplating the Amex ecosystem,
mm-hmm,
and the
mm-hmm.
platinum. Like I was in that for a year. I was like, oh, should I get it? It was like so cool at the Centario
Yeah,
Lounge. I really want that when I travel. But like honestly, like
yeah,
with the changes, and I have a family, it
mm-hmm,
doesn't really make too much sense for me because I have the reserve already. The platinum
yeah,
card, I'm not going to use a lot of those. Like I'm probably most likely not going to use the Walmart Plus. The only thing I'm going to use is streaming service, and I just won't get
yeah.
my value back. So for
No, so
me,
it's a good decision. Yeah,
yeah. So like for me, like, and to the listeners, like Bill has one, but I don't, right? So you don't have to have a platinum card. There are
no,
other cards
God
out
no,
there,
yeah.
right? To kind of like, and then other nice cards actually to kind of, if you want to spend six
Well,
hundred
the
dollars a year, right?
reserve, yeah, the reserve gets you into priority pass lounges all over the world. So you still
Right,
have that
exactly.
access to lounges. The only thing you
Yeah,
lose out on is the Centurion lounges, but they just made a rule that you can't bring a guest in for free anymore. So
yeah, exactly.
with you, with two children and a partner, like that,
I would
you're not
just
going
leave
to
them out.
pay. You're not going to, yeah, you're not going to just leave them outside, but
Yeah.
or you have to pay whatever it is. I don't know if it's 50 or 75 bucks per guest. Like, you're not going to do
Right.
that just to go into a Centurion lounge. Just go to the
Yeah,
priority pass one that's right next door.
exactly. Hey, Bill, what's up?
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly.
But yeah, okay. So that's kind of like our kind of concept of our understanding of the credit card system. I know that
Hmm.
this conversation has gone quite long. Uh, there are ways to kind of like how do you maximize your points? Because I know like the traditional people are like, okay, let's redeem this amount of
Hmm.
points for this ticket through the
Yep,
portal, right? But
yep,
there are other ways to do it, um,
yes.
like we've already talked about maximizing points. Gold card you get 4 times back on groceries and shopping out, and then the platinum you get 5 times
Hmm.
through shopping travel.
Hmm.
Now, well, you have all these points. Like, where do these go then? Like, I know there's a way to also there's talk like transferring to uh, like partners,
Hmm.
airline partners and hotel partners, and to maximize miles that way. Like, what are kind of
Yep.
the ways that you kind of maximize your points?
Yeah, good question. And I think those are all good stuff to talk about. Like, let's be upfront about the portals too. I think the vast majority of people that do redemptions in any way are probably using portals, or those things wouldn't exist, right? So you're probably going to have the majority of people using that because they don't know any better. And just like any part of this niche, this game, we'll call it, or this hobby, it's a smaller amount of people that take advantage of the sweet spots, and because it's time, right? Time is money for people, and so people shouldn't feel pressured that they have to do that either. But it's more about, if you're trying to squeeze the lemon for all it's worth, then your best bet is to actually use transfer partners. And I know that something like Sapphire Reserve gets like 5x on their portal, and Venture X gives you like 10x on hotels on the portal. The biggest caveat for portals, I'll cover it quickly, so and then move on to what I actually target with my redemptions. But oftentimes you're spending more points to get the same thing on the portal. Not always. There are like caveats like anything, but let's say generally speaking. And I learned that the hard way when I was a little younger on a ticket. I was going to Japan to play hockey with my amateur club team, and I had all these chase points, and I was like, great, I'm going to use them. And and get this really high end class of travel, which I couldn't. I only got one way premium economy, but I did it through the Chase portal. If I had known about transfer partners, I could have got way better value out of it, and it still got me the ticket I needed. So that's another important thing. If the points get you what you want, what you need, that's value. So that's good.
Right.
But
And just I want to interject real quick. Like to be fair, like it's if you feel like, oh, I should have, like how come I didn't know about this? Like
yeah,
honestly,
don't get
for
FOMO or
myself,
anything.
yeah, for myself, like I just started like looking into like the transfer partner stuff too. So like
Yeah,
it's never too late. It's, as long as you're starting at some
no,
point, right? Yeah.
never too late, and it's a lot of work. That's the other thing. So you have to be willing to commit time to it to figure it out and to learn. You have to do a bit of learning. But the other problem with portals is when things go wrong, it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster because it's a third party. So for people that don't know, you're on the Chase portal or you're on the Amex portal usually, unless it's one of their specific programs like Amex FHR, or you're actually on the phone with Amex Travel. It's not Amex. It's not Chase. So the Amex portal is run by Expedia. Expedia runs a lot of those. Chase, I think just switched. They were Expedia. They're switching back to who they used to have years ago. I don't know the name. Capital One, I think, uses Hopper is their backend engine. So it's not these companies. And so what happens is it's why you also shouldn't, if you have status, you shouldn't book hotels and portals because you can't use your status and you can't use your points. Like Hilton does not want you booking from Expedia. If you book from Expedia, which is how it codes through, you're not going to get your your points for that stay, right? Planes are fine because planes is more about like butt in the seat. If you're in the seat, you'll get the points. But for hotels, that's why it's a downside. But let's say flights is the biggest thing, especially international flights with connections and whatever. If you book through Amex or Chase and you have an issue with the airline or the flights, many times they're going to point you back to who you booked to. This is why I always book direct with the airline because they'll fix your stuff almost automatically for you. You may not love the solution, but they still fix it. If you miss a flight, they'll get you on another flight. They oftentimes, when it's through travel agencies, you have to go back through travel agencies. And let's say I'm in Tanzania and I don't have a phone service to call Amex. I'm gonna have to. It's gonna be a 30-minute call. It's gonna cost you a lot of money, maybe potentially, right? Like to call international. So I stay away from the portals. I know many people use them, and if you don't have problems, they're probably fine. Some of those people probably also just don't realize it may not be the best way to get value, but it could be. It could be. Let's not say it's never, but that segue, let's say I choose to use transfer partners because my type of redemption is I want to build up a lot of points, and because I'm a heavy traveler internationally, my ideal redemption is to transfer points over to specific airline programs and use it for business class travel. So if I'm going to go on a 15-hour flight to Hong Kong with my wife or something, I'll use points to do that so I don't have to be a sardine in coach for 15 hours, right? Like, and it's not this, this isn't like it's not like a snobby thing. It's just 15
Right.
hours in an economy seat is not comfortable. I'm
It's
sorry.
tough. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm only 5'6" and it's not comfortable for me. I can't
Yeah.
imagine for people that are taller, right? So
God.
like, I'm not going to do it for a 6-hour flight to Europe. I'm on the East Coast, so I won't do that for Europe. But for the bigger ones, I'll use it for the bigger redemptions to Asia because New York is far away from Asia. So
Yeah.
it's, those are long
It's
flights
real
and it could
far.
be
Yeah.
long. It could be 12 hours to a connection and then another 12 hours, depending on where you're connecting. So for that's my ideal use is I transfer out to partners and then I will use their programs to redeem because depending on where you're going, there are sweet spots in different programs. And the reason that Chase points or Amex points are so valuable is because they're what's called flexible points. You can use them for any of their travel partners. So if you're going to Hong Kong, then your best bet is probably Cathay Pacific or Asia Miles, right? And most of the major credit cards transfer to Asia Miles. So I could have Capital One, which transfers to Asia Miles, or I could have Amex, which also transfers to Asia Miles. So I have this flexibility. If I want to go to Hong Kong, I transfer right there. If I want to go to Japan, I can choose Amex points for ANA or Japan Airlines, right? So what you people want to do is it's not universal. Like if you want to get into that part, you want to say, and I'm not some genius. The way I figured it out is best way to get to Hong Kong on points, and then just read, right? Like I'd read the blogs or I'd read Reddit, and that's how you figure it out. And then you just kind of start. If you do it enough, you just remember. You're like, okay, for this types of destination, I have specific destinations in mind. I typically go to Europe a lot, And then, my wife being from Asia, we will go to Asia a lot as well. But so for me, I focus on certain things. Like we want to get to Shanghai on points, right? We want to get to Hong Kong on points. Want to get to KL on points. So it's a lot of like looking, just learning over and over. Best way to get to Japan on points. Best way to get to Hong Kong on points. And then from there, it's just, man, you got to search. It's just searching. You need to be super flexible. You need to be super open to times. You may even need to reposition, they call it, right? You may want to
Right.
go, instead of flying out at New York, you may fly out of DC, right? Which is actually pretty easy to do. But you can't be, I feel for teachers. I come from a family of teachers. My mom, my sister, my dad's first job was a teacher before he changed, but they can only travel during very specific times, and
Right.
oftentimes there's not a lot of award availability.
Hmm.
So I feel for them, and it's not always easy. You're not going to find, if you're not flexible, if you have a wedding and you're like, I can only go on this date, it's
Hmm.
chances are, if you're not planning a year out, the best redemptions are going to be well in advance and super flexible. You have to just find one and be able to say, okay, I can go on that date,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, it's not, it isn't easy and it's time consuming. But
Right.
the portals are much better for that from a time perspective. Like if you don't care about that stuff and time is money to you, and you have a family or a crazy job, and you can't dedicate this time to learn about these different sweet spots, then yeah, use the portal. Just understand that if there's a problem, be prepared that you might have a bit of a go around to
Right.
fix it. But for me, I look at transfer partners. I don't do hotel transfers, which some
Okay.
people do. Some people, it it seems to be a popular opinion that it's not a good redemption to transfer from credit cards to hotel.
Okay.
Um, the people that are into the math, the whole CPP, right, the cost per point, people that are into that, they always kind of feel that's not a great redemption. I tend to agree from what I've seen, so I don't usually transfer to that, but that's why I have that Aspire card. At 34X,
Right.
I don't really have to worry about transferring a lot because all my Hilton stays, I could stay at a Hampton Inn for a few nights for $600 and get 20,000 points. It's insane, right? So
Right.
I don't worry about that, but I look at uh, just transferring out to whoever's going to get me the best bang for my buck. Like
Right.
ANA is the best for in terms of total points, because you
Hmm.
can do a return trip from New York to Japan for like 90,000 points or 88,000 points
Oh,
return, not each
wow.
way, return. It's
Oh, okay.
crazy. That said, it's also the
Yeah.
most difficult redemption to get because they're gone super fast.
Uh-huh.
You need to try to look 330 days out if you want, or 2 weeks out. They release 2 weeks out, but very few people in the world that aren't in maybe tech or work for themselves
All right.
have the ability to just go to Japan in 2 weeks. It's very hard for a lot of people to do that, so they get frustrated with that. But it's just how it is.
Yeah.
They're the best for that. Asia Miles is great for Hong Kong and China and some Japan as well, because you can use Japan Airlines because it's one world. Um, Aeroplan Canada Air Canada's system is amazing. It's really great. They have great partners, great availability. You almost never use it to fly Air Canada Metal. You
Mm-hmm.
just use it to fly on their partners and stuff,
Mm.
which is like United and Etihad and Emirates. And they just started a partnership with Singapore Airlines as well. And so it's the redemptions aren't always like you're not getting 88,000 round trip, but you might get 87,000 one way, which is totally reasonable business class redemption for
Mm-hmm.
a top five airline, and you're going to be flying for 22 hours. Like that's
Right.
100%. If I can sleep for 7 hours in business class. So that's game changing to get to another time zone and I had a full night's sleep.
Yeah, and I think like the key here is just like if you're not flexible because of certain situations,
Yeah.
it's really just about maximizing the points.
Yeah. It's not your
And
fault. That
right.
it's, yeah, it's unlucky, but
Yeah.
this
You can
is,
still
it's hard,
maximize your
man.
points. It's just like
Yeah,
it's less than what you could get. Right. So
exactly. And maybe you're one of those people that want to vote. A lot of Americans don't travel international. That's a fact.
yeah.
A lot of people in this credit card community do. That's what they
Mhm.
use their redemptions for. But it's almost confirmation bias, right? You're almost in an echo chamber if you're just chatting with people that are in that same thing. It kind of
Right.
makes you believe that everybody does that. That's not true. So
Right.
there's still, you don't need 500,000 points to maximize your your redemptions if you're
Right.
somebody that only does domestic. There's great domestic Delta redemptions. There's great domestic Southwest redemptions,
Right.
or you can use hotels if you're just doing domestic. If that's how people travel, like as you said, it's about you. Like who cares if people can go to the Maldives for a week on their redemptions if you don't
Right.
ever want to go to the Maldives, right? I I don't find it. I'm a huge traveler,
Mhm.
and I have nothing against the Maldives, but for me, I don't find it a good use of my style of travel or
Right.
a good value for my points. I don't want to blow all those points for what many people consider once in a lifetime, but it's once in a lifetime at an overwater bungalow. I mean, if
Yeah.
I'm ever going to be if I'm ever going to be in Asia, I could go to the Perhentian Islands or something
Right.
off, Indonesia, I think, or they're Malaysia, but it's probably half the price, and it's still an overwater bungalow. I mean, how much
Right.
better could the blue water be below your bungalow? It's a
Right. Right.
similar
Yeah.
part of the world. So like, it's not everybody has to do that, and I think they get in this rabbit hole of watching these YouTubers going to these places, and they're, oh my God, why can't I do that, or how can I do? Like, look, that person does that for a living. They're
Hmm.
probably getting referrals all year and gaining points that way, or they're doing business spend on it. Like, that's not everybody. That's why I think there's some dishonesty in the hype bloggers, which
Hmm.
is why I like people like Sebi, who's actually more, he's just real. He just tells you like facts, and kind of is realistic about it, as opposed to making you think that you need to do this to fit in or something like that, which is not how it should be. They should be supplementing and help you kind of saving some money while you still travel.
Right. 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 Yeah. I mean, those are good points, and that kind of leads into something else we were going to talk about, which was the
Hmm.
kind of like the unrealistic picture that some bloggers kind of portray. We talk about
Hmm.
like these these credit card YouTubers who are like always showcasing, hey, I spent $80,000, I'm 80,000 points, and then it got me
Yeah.
to so and so, and look at,
Yep.
I'm wearing a swimsuit and I'm sucking my tummy in, and I got a six pack, and I'm having a pina
Yeah.
colada on the
Yeah.
beach,
I'm
and
living my best life. Whatever it is.
yeah,
Yeah. Whatever the kids
exactly.
say. Whatever the kids say these days.
And then when the camera's off, they let their tummy out, they lay back, they're just like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, and they just fall asleep. You know what I mean? Or like, it's
They
it's
go back
it's
to their roadside motel.
yeah, exactly. And then they get on their like moped or something, and then they kind of just
Yeah.
whatever.
I
But
think
like,
it's important. I think it's
yeah,
important for people psychologically to understand that like a lot of these people are in specific scenarios that allow them to do this, or they're traveling full time, and you got to remember that as you travel full time, you're racking up points as you do that.
yeah,
And their YouTube channel, they're getting paid for advertising that's shown on that channel, so they can use that to then pay for these tickets, right? Or they get referrals and they get more points that way. So those people are working a system as well. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? They're using the system to their advantage. It's very similar to the psychological stuff. All these last 10 years, you've seen all these travel Instagram accounts, right? And now I have one for Always Wander, but I never put. It's very rare that I'm actually in any of the photos. I'm taking photos of destinations and stuff.
are you
Or
sure? I think I saw you, like, you're like, oh, living my best life. You had like
yeah,
some
yeah, my
was that you?
crystal on a Russian plane or something. Yeah, no, that maybe that one snuck through, but yeah, and I think people see that they get this unrealistic picture, which is, I do appreciate some of the influencers that say the Instagram versus reality.
Yeah,
You've got like
absolutely.
the Trevi Fountain in Rome, like, and you see like this person in this amazing fashion dress, and like the light is gorgeous, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
just them in front of the
perfect.
fountain.
Yeah.
Also, what people don't realize is that's probably 5:15 in the morning at sunrise when there's zero people there. Go to the
Mm.
Trevi Fountain at any time after 8:30, and you're not going to be able to take a photo without other people in it.
Yeah.
It's not reality, and it's a little disingenuous, but also people need to be a little stronger and not falling into that kind of FOMO depression trap of like, oh my God, their life is so amazing.
Yeah.
It might that picture is amazing. It doesn't mean that that's what the life is. And yeah, these bloggers did get an 87,000 point redemption. I can find them,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that you're going to find them every single day or every single time. For instance, there was 2 months ago, there were all these business class flights from Washington to Shanghai. In fact, one of the routes was first class. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to grab a first class ticket with my points. It'll surprise my wife, this and the other thing. But we don't know when we're going to go. And we weren't ready to commit. And a month later, for the same time frame, over the course of 3 months, where there was tons of these things, all those tickets are gone. You know,
Mm.
they don't last. And so it's an unrealistic opinion to think that like you can go get a credit card, spend a little bit on it, and then suddenly you're flying business class in the
Yeah.
Maldives. Like, I have a lot of points. It's from sign up bonuses, some daily spend, uh, referral bonuses, right? But it's also, I've been doing it for years
Mm.
to get to a high amount.
Yeah.
You can't do it every year, and you can't do it indefinitely. Like we said earlier, unless you have a small business and you're
Right.
able to get 30, 40K points a pop just by making purchases for your business, that pace is very, very hard to keep up because eventually you run out of cards to sign up for.
Right. But even I feel like even like I have a small business, right? And even having
Yeah,
a business, like it's not like some credit card, like they show like their back end, like they have like a million like plus points. Like even like if you have a business, it takes a while to kind of
takes a
accumulate all
while.
those. Yeah, so it's not. And I think like I'm in the same boat where like you see these YouTubers or whatever, and so these influencers kind of spending points to cover their whole trip. I think
Yeah,
like in reality, especially like for us, it's like it's a supplemental thing. Like
yeah.
I can't I want an upgrade or I can't afford it, so I kind of
Yep.
supplement with some points.
Exactly right.
It's
And I think for
yeah.
most people doing it smartly, that's what they'll get. It'll be a supplement. I think that's what I would recommend for most people. The other thing, and I love these channels where they review like business class flights, right? I like Nonstop Dan and these types of guys like Prince of Travel. They're great for that stuff. But I think one of the things you don't necessarily see, or some of the smaller ones that do that same thing, oftentimes those guys are like consultants that are on a work trip that also happen to have a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
That's number one. The points guys too. You notice they're doing a lot of things like they'll go Europe to Dubai or Europe to Doha because that's not a big route and it's easier to get redemptions that way. But all they just need to be in the plane because it's for their YouTube channel. It doesn't matter where they're actually going. And
Mm.
I'm convinced that some of these videos you see, they're not going on vacation. They just got that redemption to do the flight, and they're probably going right back in a day
Yeah.
or something. And they're probably not. They might not be going back first class,
Yeah.
but it's for their videos that they
Yeah.
make it. So people need to make sure they're not filling in their own gaps with what the story is, that this person's lifestyle is so amazing. But or some of these ones, there's like the luxury travel expert. I think is one of these channels that does these no talking like lounge tours and flight tours, but he's a travel agency. So of course he's getting to fly all these things
Right.
because he's a travel agency, right? And
Yeah.
Dennis Bunnick is another one. He's this Aussie guy that's kind of a goofy, nice guy, but he recently published a video because I think everyone's like, God, what do you do? Because you're in first class this from Australia to Asia all the time, and business class this and business class that. And he's like, well, everybody's asking me, so I'm going to tell you. So he did a whole intro video of his business. He owns a travel agency in like in yeah, where is it? It's either Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan or something, or Uzbekistan. It's like,
Wow.
and he focuses on this Central Asia tours and travels. But like, yeah, so he has a second YouTube channel because I'm sure he gets advertising money for that. It's also interesting. He flies these different brands and airlines, and you get to see what the different business classes and first classes are like.
Hmm.
But yeah, he gets to do it because he owns a travel agency. It's not
Right.
so people get I don't want to say they get tricked, but they need to be a little realistic. Is that there's always the Wizard of Oz, right? There's always something behind the curtain usually
Yeah.
that's not quite what it's portrayed all the time. And it's some people are disingenuous, but some people like him are not. They're like, look, honestly, I own a travel agency and this is how I can do this. But I still want you to be able to see what these different planes are like and these different travel experiences are like, right? Or a couple of YouTubers are friends with the travel agency. So I think the travel agency might use them as a bit of an advertisement for the travel agency, right?
Hmm.
And helps them get these some of these flights. Like
Mm.
Trek Trendy, I think, does that. He's friends with the luxury travel expert, so a couple of his videos, he said, the luxury travel expert got me this
Uh,
reservation. You can use them too with their special relationships and all these things. So I
gotcha.
don't know if he paid them or what, but sometimes I think they can get perks for that stuff. And look, it's their job. So just like somebody that works for Nike can get Nike products, don't get mad at them because they get Nike products for free. It's their job.
Yeah.
They work for Nike. If your full time job is YouTube travel stuff, chances are you're going to get some free things here and there because companies are going to want to work with you.
Yeah. That's the whole game. That's the
And
whole game.
it's
That's
and
the whole.
every
Yeah.
yeah, and everybody in the course of the last 30 years, everyone had an option to try that. Not everybody started out on YouTube and was instantly making enough for a living and getting free stuff. Like I
Yeah.
can tell you that from a website. I've had Always Wander since we joked about this I think last time, but I've had Always Wander since the end of 2019.
Uh-huh.
And right now my Amazon affiliates total is like $76. So
Yeah.
it's not like
Damn,
it's
bro,
not
you're
just
balling.
because the stuff exists. I can't even buy one of the bags I review with that yet. It's
Right.
not
Right.
it's not
Right.
enough money to buy one of the bags that I review. So
Right.
it's there's some Wizard of Oz life behind the curtain stuff going on too.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I think like oh, so then like we're talking about credit cards and stuff like that. Like you have it's not like for you and I think we're pretty set. Like if we had to stop getting credit cards, I think
Hmm.
our credit card systems kind of cover quite a bit.
Hmm.
For me, I think for my next step is, uh, I have my cards, and I think my next step moving from the venture is probably to get either like a airline card or like a hotel card. Uh,
Hmm.
and then for you, like, what does that next step look like? What are you looking for
Yeah.
after?
Good question. I'll get that Amex business one, I think, just because I want the 2x points as a catch-all for my
Mm-hmm.
Amex stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I may still get a couple. This is more advanced. The Hilton one is more like a real credit card nerd. I'll talk about that one in a second. Why I will keep going in the Hilton ones,
Uh-huh.
mainly because the sign-up bonuses are great. So if I can get 100,000 points for a no-fee card, I'll do it just to get the points.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I would say in terms of a serious addition, I stay away from airline cards. I can
Hmm.
see why they might work for some people, but I don't want to lock myself into a specific airline. I'm considering Aeroplan, the Air Canada one,
Hmm.
because their program is so flexible for the places I want to go that I wouldn't mind having points locked in with Aeroplan because I know I'll use them eventually.
Hmm.
And because of their partner airlines, it's a good airline to get status with. But normally I wouldn't get an airline card. I think I will get the top Marriott card
Oh, okay.
next year maybe, um, because I have such a good experience with the Hilton top card,
Hmm.
and it doesn't matter to me that the Marriott card has a high fee, because of the free night credit, I can use that free night credit to offset that fee, no problem.
Hmm.
Like I said, if you go back to my example of a lot of times on trips, I like to spend the final night in a really nice hotel,
Mm.
just to finish the trip on a good note and be relaxed and kind of enjoy the luxury a little bit. So
Hmm.
if I'm using that free night on one of those, then it's more expensive than that room is more expensive than the annual fee anyway. And
Hmm.
just this past year, they revamped the Marriott Top Card. They put out a new one, and it includes platinum status, not gold.
Oh,
So the
wow.
platinum status at Marriott does include free breakfast.
Uh-huh.
So for me, the free credit and the options of getting free breakfast, whether it's Hilton or Marriott, those typically make the cards worth it for me.
Mm.
And having a Marriott top status and Hilton. In fact, that's why I chose the Hilton one originally, because the Marriott one didn't give you free breakfast. And when you're two people and
Yeah.
you're not staying in hostels,
Yeah.
that's a huge value because you don't have to go try to schlep around and find a place. You don't have to
Oh, man.
worry about the cost of the breakfast. If it's a nice hotel, like their
Hmm.
breakfasts are nice, so it's good to do that. So for me, that value is there. I will probably get that later in the year. I'm not going to become like a Marriott freak. I'll just have it for those specific use cases, and in case I
Right.
do want to stay at a Marriott, because sometimes in some cities Marriott has better options than Hilton, but to be able to have both options is good.
Okay.
For that advanced one I mentioned with the Hilton, is an interesting path
Okay.
on those Hilton cards. So you start with the top one. I learned this from Sebi.
Uh-huh.
You start with the top one, and
Shout out.
then you open up, yeah, then you open up the Surpass, which is the second level. It's like a 95 annual fee,
I see it.
right? And then what happens is, and then you open up the free one, so you have three.
Uh-huh.
But typically, what they'll do is after a year is they'll try to get you to upgrade. So what happens is the Surpass, even though you already have an Aspire and you couldn't open another Aspire, for some
Uh-huh.
reason they allow you to upgrade to another Aspire card. So now I
Okay.
would have two Aspire cards,
What the
which would double all my free night credits, right?
Okay.
And then in year two of your free one, you upgrade to the Surpass, the $95 one. You wait a
Uh-huh.
year, and then in a year they give you an upgrade offer to the Aspire again.
No
So
freaking
you can
way.
end, yeah, you can end up with three Aspires. And
What?
again, all that matters is that you get value. If you get the right value out of it,
Yeah.
you now get three free night credits that you can use on uncapped value,
All right.
and you can pool those together. It does you don't have to just use one. It just goes into your account as a free night credit. So you could theoretically go to Bora Bora for 3 nights at a $1,500 a night hotel and stay for free,
Oh my
with
God.
those points. Yeah, and plus the $200 airline credit, and plus there's a $250 Hilton Resort credit, right? So for me, even though there'd be a lot of annual fees, it'd be well worth it for me to use it just from the credits that are there, because I
Right.
just use it on free hotel stays for Hiltons and like luxury places, Waldorfs or whatever.
Word, that one
And I know
night.
Waldorf's,
Yeah.
yeah, for just that one night. But if I have three of them, I'll stay for 3 nights, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that's a bit of a more advanced trick that I just learned recently, and for me, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
that makes sense to me. So I've already got my surpass my second level Hilton. So in like August or October, I think will be 1 year. So I'll see what happens
Oh, I
if
gotta
it does
catch
if they
up.
don't get yeah if they don't give me the upgrade, then I probably won't get the I won't go get the third one.
Uh-huh.
But I may just also because the points are so high that they give you, and I know how to get decent value out of Hilton points. So
Right, right.
that's probably it. It'll be that Hilton ladder. Let's call it a ladder there to get three
Yeah.
Aspires, the Blue Business Preferred to get the 2X for Amex, and then probably the Marriott top Marriott card just for the status that comes with free breakfast and a free night credit because I can use that because I travel so much. But
Gotcha,
I
gotcha.
would still like to get a preferred Sapphire preferred, but
Yeah.
because the rate that I get credit cards, I think you know about 524, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Chase has a 524 rule for people that don't know.
Yeah.
Chase will only give you a card if you've opened less than 5 cards in 24 months. And just with the path I've been taking, I need some of the cards to fall off my
Yeah.
24 months before I can even bother with a Chase. But I will probably get the preferred just to get the sign up bonus. That's really
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And put it into my pool of points. But that's my plan. I don't think I'll get if I get a credit card for an airline, it'll be the Air Canada one because I've just noticed that for the places I want to travel, their
Mm-hmm.
program is very 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 good.
Okay. Yeah. If you need a referral for Chase, let me know.
I will let you know when I'm ready. When I'm
Right,
ready, I'll let you. Once that 524 is over,
right. Yeah.
so in 2032, I'll let you know.
um, yeah. And again, it's like 524 is basically you can only have five. Like they only let you do five credit cards within 24 months, so it's a bit of a limit.
Across any
And
brand,
20,
right? So yeah.
right, exactly. But this doesn't necessarily apply to like Amex and Capital One. So, um,
Business cards, I don't think it applies to either. If you can get business cards,
mm,
you can get business
yeah,
cards. I don't think it applies to your Chase 24.
right. So there is that as well.
So as people can see, like as it sounds like a little bit of word vomit in here, it's a lot of information, which
Yeah,
is why you can't just watch a few videos for a week and then get frustrated when you can't
right.
find the thing you're looking for. And if you don't want to put the time in, it's like anything. Like if you don't want to put the time in for stocks, don't invest in
Yeah,
stocks, right? Because that's dangerous.
right.
If you don't want to put the time in to learn some of this information for credit cards, it's not going to come easy. There's no easy button. You have to put the effort in, and it's important to understand that going in because the bad bloggers don't let that point come across, I think. And I think it's good to be realistic with people.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so yes, we talked about a lot of stuff, and we talked about like your next cards. The
Mm.
is
Mm-hmm.
is like so like we're so let's okay, so we're coming towards the close of this episode, and just to finalize the
Mm-hmm.
podcast here episode here, I'd like to ask like one question and then like another question, which is the first question is
Mm.
um where are you going next, Bill? Like what's your next destination after today? Like where are you looking forward to going now?
Great question. As I said, in the other conversations we've had, is typically if it's 2 months out, I'm not planning 2 months out. I'm planning a year out. So 2 months, I already know. We're going to take a trip back to Italy. We're going to fly. I use some points to fly Emirates to
Hmm.
Milan. There's a
Oh.
direct flight from New York to Milan on Emirates
Hmm.
airline.
Hmm.
So I got business class for both of us on the way out, one way. So that's going to be a nice experience for us to get out there. We'll be nice and refreshed, and we're going to spend some time in Milan and then take a train down to Tuscany. We've never been to Tuscany, so we'll be doing that. And I am going to be bringing a new Matador bag to review.
Hmm.
Their new Global Rider or Globe Rider bag. I'm gonna bring that because to review that. I did actually I just brought their new Seg 28 to Berlin that I took around, and I'll be writing a review on that one too. But yeah, Italy's up next, and I'll be sure to be bringing some products to review there.
Okay. And then
And long term, want to try to get to China, but that's harder to plan on points because flights right now to China are just bananas. There just isn't
yeah.
a lot of them to begin
Yeah.
with. Flights, points flights like that are hard anyway, and there just isn't
Hmm.
a lot of flights right now. So it's a little more planning, but maybe fall, maybe spring, I'll head to China.
Okay. All right. If you had to recommend someone who, may have just like a random like Freedom Unlimited card or something, just like starter card,
Hmm.
and they're looking to kind of take the next step into this kind of ecosystem, like what do you
Hmm.
recommend are a good is a good card or are good cards to kind of look into as the next step up?
It's a great question. I would recommend looking for low or no fee cards to learn, like to learn the system and learn what works for you. I don't think someone should go from a everyday no fee cashback card to suddenly buying the platform and then just unless they're like super confident that they can do everything that comes about it, they're willing to put that time in. But
Hmm.
I'd say maybe jumping into a Sapphire Preferred, a Chase Sapphire Preferred, or a Venture card. I think the Venture X, even though there's a higher fee, it's very easy to get that credit.
Hmm.
It's a 2x card. I don't know about the regular Venture card if it's 2x. It might be 2. Is it,
It
or
is. It
it's
is 2x as well.
1.5x? It is
It's 2x.
2x on most
Yeah.
things, yeah.
So you could
So
do
you
that
you end
too.
up you don't get the benefits that the Venture X comes with, but you get the same earning. And I think
Hmm.
when you're first learning that stuff, I think you want to get a sign up bonus for sure,
Hmm.
but you want to keep your fee low because you don't know if you're going to like it or be able to put the time in. And something like Sapphire Preferred or a Venture or Venture X, with the 2x kind of blanketed, you don't need to think about this category, that quarter category. I got to switch okay, I'm at the market, I need to pay with this card. Okay, I'm on the train, I got to pay with this card. That's a hassle for a lot of people. And I think just
Hmm.
having a straight up 2x card or whatever is a pretty good way to go and really figure out if it's even something you want to get involved in. I think if you get a few good redemptions, you get the taste, and then you're like, okay, I want more of this.
It's like a
But
drug.
if yeah, exactly. If it's like people that golf. I'll use a golf analogy. I'm not a big golfer, but
Right.
I do know that as a hockey player, certain times I can hit a golf ball really well. Certain times, not every time. That the motion's similar, and you could have a terrible day all day hitting no good shot in golf, and then you hit one shot that's amazing, and you're kind of which is just statistically going to happen eventually.
Right.
But like you're kind of like, ooh, what a good sport. You're like, I like this. You get it's just one shot, and suddenly you're into it. But
And then you're buying
you
golf
got to be
balls
careful.
and yeah.
Yeah, suddenly you got a new set of clubs, and you're getting lessons, and you're screwed. But so redemptions, I think, can be a little bit that way. But don't. There's no reason to go into the 10-meter end of the pool right away. Go into the 2-meter end first. Get your feet wet, learn it a little bit. Or for me at 5'6", I'll go into the 1-meter end first, right? The two meter end might be too deep for me, but start somewhere to learn it. Don't it can add up. It can put you into manufacturing spend
Yeah.
areas that you don't want to be in. Get used to it first, learn it, and see if it's right for you before you get. I mean, watch the videos, teach yourself, right? But watch the videos and think, hey, maybe someday I can get some of these bigger ones. But there's no
Right.
reason to think that you can do it right away. It's just like anything. You can't. You're not going to be a pro skier your first time you go on a slope, right? You're not going to learn hockey the first time you put skates on. It just doesn't work that way. So
Right.
don't
Don't run
spend.
before you can walk, right?
Don't run before you can walk.
Yeah.
Exactly. Go and be pragmatic about it. Try to learn and stick with the beginner stuff first. And but Sapphire Preferred, Venture cards, Venture X, those are great early cards. They're not true beginner.
Right.
They're beginners for people that want to get into like actual redemptions.
Great. Totally agree with those. Next question is, what are your well, I mean, we know your favorite hotel chain, obviously, through the
Yeah.
usage of the card. But what is like, how about like airlines? Like, is it this what you just mentioned, or is it like your favorite family of like airlines?
Yeah, so I'm a One World guy, mainly because I used British Airways so much when I was living in London.
Hmm.
I used it so much for work and then also just popping around Europe when I had free time. So I ended up getting status. It's not crazy status, it's just silver status, which isn't
Hmm.
surprisingly, it's not that hard to get
Hmm.
silver status with British Airways, but it's weird. It translates to like the second highest status with One World.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it gets you into yeah, it gets you into silver status at BA, which is their third level, gets you into all the lounges that are only open to second level people in the other brands. So for instance, in America, I could be traveling on American Airlines domestic ticket just to Chicago or something, right? Not a long flight. But because of my One World status through BA, British Airways, I can actually go into the American Airlines first class lounge, which is wild.
Hmm.
So you get the flagship first lounge, which is really nice. It's a nice lounge. The food's options are much better. Or for instance, this happened once. We had a crazy layover in Heathrow. I was almost an accident, but there was a Cathay lounge in this terminal, and Cathay Pacific lounges are amazing. Like they have dumplings, they serve noodles, they have congee, which was the I didn't know what congee was until I was there with my wife, and she's like, maybe they have congee, and I was like, what's that? And she explained it, and I was like, I don't know if a lounge is gonna have congee, and she's like, it's a Hong Kong lounge, and so I learned my lesson there. I took my medicine with a bowl of congee, right?
Right.
Is they had congee, and it was amazing. They had showers in there, and it's super nice lounges. So for me, the benefit is there to stick with it with an airline only if you think you can get to that tier.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I don't really have. Domestic. I think Delta's the best,
Mm-hmm.
but Delta status is very hard to get. I can fly American all the time and get BA status. So
Right.
it's because you put your BA number in, so you're getting your BA credit.
Right.
Like I said, I've considered switching to Aeroplan, which is Air Canada, which partners with United and stuff. But I don't fly United ever, so I don't want to have to switch. Like
Right.
American, most of the airports I fly in America, like because I'm in New York,
Yeah.
it's an American hub. So whether it's JFK or LaGuardia, there's lots of American Airlines flights. So it's not hard for me to take one from my origin. So I will probably still. My year is up in June. I think I'm gonna have to take a first class domestic flight just to keep my status. I'll have to do a mileage run.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll do it to like DC. It'll be like $300 or something, which for me is because of my international travel, that's worth doing. But it's hard to remain loyal to an airline. But my favorite would be Delta domestically. Um, my favorite internationally is definitely going to be either Asian Airlines or Middle Eastern Airlines. You just North American airlines are laughable internationally, and
Mm-hmm.
Europeans aren't much better at this point. The Middle Eastern airlines, Qatar, Qatar, I don't know if I say that correctly,
Yeah.
Etihad, Emirates, those are like top level service perspective. I've not flown them yet, but I want to.
Yeah.
Singapore is supposed to be unbelievable.
Uh-huh.
Cathay is amazing from a product and service perspective. Japan Airlines is incredible from a service perspective. I've not flown ANA, but I want to. They're
Yep.
supposed to be amazing. So the Asian airlines and the Middle Eastern ones, if you can get them, you're gonna have a better experience, even in economy. Some
Mm-hmm.
of their economy seats are as nice as kind of a premium economy for some of the domestic airlines. So that's kind of where I would try to get to if you can. But ultimately, I think it's more about your destination. Where are you coming from and where are you going? And you have to look at the options that are available to you there. But statuses these days it's really hard to earn them. So like
Yeah.
I don't fly enough for Delta status, so I don't even bother. Occasionally I'll use the miles I have on Delta for a domestic upgrade if it's like 5,000 miles or something, right? But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I do my best to keep British Airways, but it's been hard the last few years. Luckily, they've been extending it because I just haven't traveled as much with
Right.
pandemic stuff.
That's great. And finally, if your wife took your wallet and then she said, "Oh,
hmm
I'm just gonna leave you one credit card," and you had to
hmm
use that one credit card for like the year, which credit card would that be?
Wow, that's a great question. This is like the what album would you take to a deserted island? The only one, right? This is you know what? Even though I'm an Amex guy, I might take the Venture X
Oh, okay.
because it's 2x no matter what I spend.
Yep.
And if I only have one card and I want to go to a noodle shop in Chinatown, they're not going to take my Amex. So
Yeah, that's true.
I'll take the Mastercard, the Visa Mastercard. It
Yeah.
would be the one if she and it still has lounge access. So for some lounges, so if she's going to take everything away from me and tell me I can only use one, I think I'm going Venture X. I think it's a no brainer card for a traveler.
Yeah, and I think both Venture and the Venture X actually gives you a global prior what is it global entry.
Priority Pass? Oh, Global Entry they do. Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Yep.
also really nice too. So it really
That is
is like
that's
yeah.
I used I don't know which card because I have that on three of my cards I think, but like
Okay.
for my wife's Global Entry, like we used one of the free credits, and
Right.
I use Clear because it's
Why
free,
not?
and
Yeah.
I got her into Clear too. She used to hate it, and now she like kind of begrudgingly is like, because she used to be like, it's just weird that there's a random people like telling you to put your eyes in things,
Right.
and now we've used it a couple because especially coming from China, I think she's
Yeah.
probably a little sensitive of that type of thing, right?
Yeah.
The biometric stuff, but now it's just I mean it's
She's
incredible.
converted.
Like people,
Yeah.
everybody you see some people be like, I don't need Clear, it's stupid, I already have TSA. And I'm like, yeah, but if you have Clear, you can skip the TSA pre-check line too. You skip all the lines. It's incredible.
Right. Yeah,
So
and
you end up getting through security in like 10 minutes, and if you're
yeah.
late, that can be a lifesaver.
Yeah, and I think I was actually doing some research on Clear. I was like, why would anyone get Clear if you have a global entry?
Hmm.
But
Exactly.
it's not one or the other. It's actually they complement each other actually.
That's exactly right.
Right.
That's exactly right.
So
And it allows you. It's like choices, like the Amex Platinum. Yeah, the Centurion Lounge, amazing. But like if that's full, I can still go to a Priority Pass lounge, which a lot of people don't. They get so mad about not being able to get into the security lounge because it's full or crowded. They're ignoring the fact that there's a lounge right next door that probably has nobody in it, and they might even use the same catering. You never know, right? It may not be as nice, but
hmm
it could still be fine, right? And I think that's what Clear and Global Entry and TSA PreCheck allow you to do. Like, if one line is empty and one line is long, then go to the empty one. There's no one forcing you to use that one just because you have that benefit, right?
right.
But if TSA has a line in it, it's long, yeah, go to Clear, and it just bumps you to the head of that one. So
Yeah.
I think it's great. They don't have it everywhere, but if they have it, I'll use it.
Yeah. And okay, cool. Yeah, I thank you for coming on. That's so much information. And again,
That's a data heavy podcast, my
yeah.
friend. So
And I again like Bill said, like this is a rabbit hole where you got to do your research and you got to read over and over
Mhm.
again and get your information, kind of figure things out for yourself. The information out there is
and
really just for you to kind of help you make that decision.
and I'm still learning too. Like I learn something new every couple of days. Someone says something in a Reddit post, or I read an article, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know that. And you
Yeah,
have to just put it in your toolbox.
yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, and it's definitely important just to not the only way to not get paralyzed when deciding on which card is just to do more research. So that's definitely a really good way to kind of start. So yeah, thank you again. Thank you, Bill, for coming on for like talking us through your tips, your tricks, and your secrets. And that Hilton up and down path was like crazy. You might even know
That's a
about that.
mind blowing one. Once you
Yeah,
find out about it, it's kind of like what?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So definitely for the people out there, you might have to listen to this more than one time because it's so much information, right? But if you want to know more about Bill and stalk him through his travels, he's like Sebi level like celebrity now because they follow each other.
Yeah. I wish I had the same number of followers, but yeah, they can. If people want like product reviews or these types of things, I do a lot of travel bag reviews and clothing reviews for travel. And AlwaysWander.info is the website, and I'm always happy to get new readers there. You can also find me in the One Bag forum on Reddit a lot. I try to help out people there too. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Okay, great. So, Bill, thanks for coming on again. And this is, if you guys missed his first one, we talked a lot more about like bags and travel in that one. Um, it's on UrbanCred podcast as well. And we are everywhere you get your podcast. And be sure to like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. So, until next time, we'll see you soon, Bill.
Yeah, thanks again for having me, Ed. It's always a pleasure.